Hey guys, welcome back. This week is the topic's going to be here, and this is usually sometimes it's my first, sometimes it's the second topic that I discuss in my groups. So why is this an important topic to discuss? Well, to really paved a way for young people or someone maybe that is disinterested in uh, any lesson or anything someone's about to teach. This is a good value to kind of start with. So what comes to your mind when I say be here, right? You're probably thinking of being here in the present moment. So why is that important, right? Or you can even ask yourself, is it important every moment to be kind of present of what's happening, right? So there's a couple of benefits, right? For your safety, for one, right? Who's ever some of you may not be old enough to drive right now, but the ones who are watching that do drive, sometimes we zone out a little bit too much while we're driving, and some of that is natural. When you disassociate and zone out into something you do all the time, like how many of us zone out while we're brushing our teeth thinking about something else, right? And so unfortunately, some of us, and I am guilty of that too, when we take a certain road that it's constant, like we're taking it repetitively. So think, if you go to work, you're taking it 5 times a week, you can disassociate easy and zone out, right? But I wouldn't say that's helpful, because driving is probably the most dangerous thing we all do on a daily basis for the ones who drive. So, being in the moment, in choice moments, in certain moments, can be very helpful. And that's one of them, is for safety, right? You want to pay attention when you are climbing a mountain or climbing a hill or something that you could, potentially hurt yourself. So I want you to ask yourself, what could be another reason to be present in the moment? So think of a couple, write those couple down. So one that could come to mind is to open your mind to new things, right? So if you're not in the moment, you can miss opportunities of learning something of value. So I always tell my kids, and tell anyone who's going to listen, is even if you've heard something 10 times from a certain teacher or professor or whatever, there could be an opportunity that you're going to hear something differently, that how they're presenting it, and you can interpret it a different way, and it can make you, from a learned associations, think of it as a different perspective and point of view and get something different out of it. So there's no reason why, if someone is trying to share something or to teach you something, to tune them out and close off and say, I don't need to listen to this person because I know everything. Which we know this is BS, right? No one knows everything. It would be nice, right? I think it's fair to say that people in certain fields are well informed, right? You spend a lot of your time to be skilled in whatever it is that you spend most of your time doing. In my case, it's psychology and counseling and things like that, and it would be someone who works on cars. It'd be a mechanic, or someone who works on computers, or someone who's a chef. So they're well informed, right? But I would never say they know everything. Even though when I go to a hospital or a doctor's office, I trust my doctor is well informed, right? But it doesn't mean they're not going to make mistakes. It doesn't mean they're never going to misinform me of anything. And that's not a reason to not trust them. You should always definitely get second opinions with things. If I hear something from someone, I want to have different perspectives before I make my own decision about it. But we should hear them out, right? So be open-minded. So that is number 2. We want to be here, because if we tune people out, we zone them out just because we want to say, they have nothing that they can share or I can learn from them, is BS, right? And then another topic we'll discuss is maybe coping strategies or behavioral plans that can help you stay in the moment. But we have to first erase that belief that we know everything, right? So we can be open for communication. Then you can be open to it, and then you can choose. Oh, sorry, I forgot my picture here. You can choose if you want to believe them or not, or if you want to incorporate what they're saying. So that's a big reason. So think, and then if you think the reason why I bring that up is, I'm hoping that they'll at least entertain people having group what I have to say, and at least let them hear the information and seek other sources and see if it's something they can utilize and could be helpful for them. So that's number 2. So I want you to think, what would be a third reason? And I wonder if you have this reason written down. So, is it helpful to think of the past? So hopefully most of you are saying, well, yeah, Tony, it is helpful. But what if you constantly think of the past all the time? Is that helpful? So I imagine most of you say, no, that is not, and you're right. So it is helpful to learn from mistakes in the past and know your history, right? That's why it's important to learn history. And so you can learn from mistakes of others and yourself, so you're just not doomed to repeat them. That's why sometimes if there's defense coping mechanisms, and one of them is denial, and when we utilize denial to relieve discomfort of ourselves of our mistake, but then we don't become aware of them and we keep repeating them. So it's good to understand the past and remember those lessons, and say if you made an honest mistake, or say if you saw someone make a mistake of something. But we should never live in the past. We should remember it, but we should not live in it. For example, someone who feels that their best days are behind them, right? Who don't want to focus on now because they feel like now can never live up to yesterday. And they're always thinking about yesterday, right? So, it's good to remember the past, but not live in the past. So what about the opposite? What about the future? And you may know people like this. They're constantly planning of everything they're going to do in that moment, right? And then you never enjoy anything, right? I've done that. And the thing is, why do we plan for the future? It's a good thing, right? Especially when we talk about our goal setting. Goals are great. They give us direction and they make us feel purpose. And we'll get into more about taking small goals and making them into a bigger goal and building momentum. So thinking of future is not a bad thing. And then we'll get into a couple of topics called delayed gratification and instant gratification. So thinking of future is a good thing. It is. But like we just said, can you take it to the extreme and lose sight of what is happening right now? What do you think? My vote is yes. You can take it to the extreme. Who's ever known someone who tried to plan every contingency of, or who's ever planned a vacation out of every step and then couldn't enjoy what they're doing in the moment because they're always worried with what they're going to do next? Right? I know people like that. I've done that before. So why do we do that? Think about when you plan for your future, what is the feeling associated with that? So write that down real quick. did you write control? So let's go on to that control. Why do we want to feel in control? What does that do for us? Control makes us feel safe, right? So that's why when we get into talk about control, right? The only thing you have control over is yourself, your actions, like the words you say, and your thinking, right? Well, I guess that is kind of debatable, but you're thinking that you can be aware of, right? And your actions. That's what you have control over. I can't control other people. I can't control the weather, right? But sometimes it's the illusion that I can plan for everything and have control to make myself feel safe, right? That's why we do it. But sometimes we can get lost in seeking that control for safety and believe in that illusion, right? To prepare for all these contingencies, that we can't just let things be, right? And adapt in the moment when those things come, right? You can't plan for everything, right? Like if you're driving down the road and you get a flat tire, or you're using your defense driving skills as best you can, and then someone hits you, right? You can prepare for the future, but then you have to let it go. That could go in a whole other topic of anxiety. A lot of people suffer anxiety, and I have in the past. And sometimes an anxiety is normal. It's normal. It's a secondary emotion from our primary emotion of fear. And why do we feel anxiety? To try to keep us safe. Because think what anxiety is. It's you thinking of a negative consequence of the future. And so then you, instead of feeling that anxiety, you want to plan for everything. The anxiety, what we can do next, right? It's like the type of personality who wants to just kind of be spontaneous, and then you have the other crowd who wants to make sure there's order, right? And so I'm in the middle, right? I like to be kind of spontaneous and have things come, but I do also like a plan, some sort of plan, right? Some point in the day I would like to work out. Some point in the day I'd like to eat dinner. Some point in the day I would like to make a YouTube video, right? And there is something to say when we get to procrastination, that topic. It is helpful to have a time and a date when you're going to do those things if you procrastinate really bad. But that doesn't mean until that time comes, like say if I tell myself I'm going to work out at 5 o'clock Sunday, which is today for me, and then until 5 o'clock I can't enjoy 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock because I'm too worried about 5 o'clock. So that's not living the moment, right? That's not being here now. So we can, one, lose sight of opportunity, right? Maybe that's learning. Maybe it's enjoyment of the moment, right? Maybe it's an opportunity to get to know someone, right? There is a documentary I've watched before. He was in a show called Spartacus. He has a good movie. Like I said, it's like a documentary. Andy Whitfield, I think is his name. But if you Google Spartacus from Star, I think it's the company who made the show, and you look at his name, you'll find the documentary. I highly recommend watching it. It's about his diagnosis with, it's like a cancer he was diagnosed with, and him valuing the moment because that's all he had, and he doesn't know when his tomorrow will end, right? And sometimes that's something that's in the back of our head, but we don't think about. right? And I'm not saying to think about that, right? Because it goes against what we just talked about. If I'm worried about dying, I can't really live today. If I'm worried about the test tomorrow I have to take, I'm not enjoying today, right? It could be tomorrow the test, or if I'm worried about a doctor's appointment in a week, I can't enjoy today, right? Makes sense, right? So, kind of a recap. We want to be here and be humble. That's a whole nother topic too that we talk about a lot. To be open-minded, and we don't want to zone out when it's helpful, right? Opportunity to learn. We don't want to zone out also when our safety, we need to pay attention to what we're doing. And we don't want to live in the future, and we don't want to live in the past. We want to take joy in the moment, because that's what we have, right? Right now. That's not to say it's not good to plan for your future, and it's not to say that you shouldn't think about the past and reflect and think about what didn't work so well and how we could do it different. It'd be like if I took a test and I did poorly on it, and to reflect what was something that worked well and what is something I could have done better, right? But I'm gonna not live there, and I'm gonna choose time when it's appropriate to do that, right? It wouldn't be appropriate to think about how I could do something better as I'm driving a car, right? I need to be mindful of what I'm doing in the moment. And also, it's called grounding skills. So anyone who's having difficulty with anxiety listening right now, I want you to look up grounding skills and meditation. And that should help. What a grounding skill basically is a mental focus distraction. So that mental focus is not in the future. It takes it from to now, right? Because and we'll get into this too. I know I'm just like, we'll get into that, we'll get into this, but this is only my second video. But there's thinking errors that we have, and one is called jumping to conclusions, and another one is catastrophizing. Our brain, our mind, to protect us, likes to do that. It is built for survival, to seek out every negative in the world and try to find a plan and strategy to protect you from that discomfort. That's what it's there for. And sometimes your mind can snowball things and make it more like it can catastrophize it and make something that could have a little discomfort and make it like it's going to like be a giant discomfort, right? I know for me, asking out girls when I was in high school was just like that. It's like, what are they going to do? Bite my head off? No. What's the worst thing they could do? Tell me no. And that's, I could feel rejection, hurt feelings. But it is not the end of the world. It is what it is in that situation. It doesn't mean not to catastrophize it or jump to any conclusion. That doesn't mean that I'll never have a girlfriend or anything like that. It just means this girl at this time was not interested in going on a date with me or talking with me. That's all it means. So, I thank you again. As a reminder, this is just the kind of like my thoughts and kind of a rant to bring some dialogue, to get you thinking, and to take this journey with me, and hopefully things I'm talking about relate to you, and it can start the process of thinking. And I want you to, like I said before in my first video, if you hear something that you feel like relates to you, or you heard me talk about something, write it down and then do your research, or put it in the comment below if you want me to talk more about that, and I'll try the best as I can. Like I said, I've been in the field of counseling for number of years now, and part of this reason I'm starting this channel is, partly I want to reach out, but also, I don't know, I have like this feeling of purpose, like this is something I'm supposed to do. And like I said, in the groups that I do, I feel like, my kids in my groups take notes and things like that. But it would be very nice for them to have a video record of the things that we talk about. And so if I'm already doing that, I want to also have the opportunity for anyone else who's wanting to listen. So I hope this video finds you well and safe, and I wish for the best for everyone. So, in side rant, just that triggered an association and a thought process when I say I wish for the best for everyone. This is not related to what we just talked about, but if jealousy is something that you struggle with, and there's a couple kids I've worked with that they have, it's good to say this phrase to yourself when someone, something good happens to someone else. Say, good for them. Good for them. Don't say, I wish that could be me. Say, good for them. It's helpful to think that good things are abundant, can happen to multiple people all the time, and then it's not going to happen to you. Now, some people, things happen or you get lucky. One time, my previous job, I worked that one and the one I have at the same time for a while, but there was a company drawing and I won $500 one time. It was very nice. Like, I just saved it, but I felt very lucky. And it made me feel good, right? But you could easily do that, and feel bitter, right? If you let your mindset to be that way. So where does the bitterness come from? It comes from, it's not fair habit, right? That life should be fair and equal to all people. That would be ideal, right? And it's fair to say that would be ideal. But that's not reality. Nothing can be absolutely equal. People are born in different cultures, different parts of the country, in different countries. They're born with different resources around them, different people in their life. Doesn't mean that anyone can't be successful if they put effort and time and try to apply themselves, right? I like to think of, like, for example, intelligence and success as kind of like you have this base potential that you're born with, right? Especially intelligence. And there's different factors of intelligence, right? That you have this base potential, and what environment you grow up in and how much you push yourself can expand that potential or contract, and you just you never live up to your potential, especially when you're young and your brain is developing, right? And so that's why I try to buy in with my kids that I know that school is not fun, right? And it's sometimes you are learning things you're not interested in, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try, because practicing those skills and processing with our brain makes us smarter, right? It doesn't mean that we're going to have to use that skill later in life, but we are using, like you've heard probably before, your brain is a muscle, right? You want to use it. That's why reading is really good. I try to read a little bit every day in part of my routine, but that's why people who tend to be smart read a lot, right? Makes sense. They're training that muscle they have up there. All right, side rant over. But just keep that in mind. If jealousy creeps in, say good for them. Not I would, and it could be fair to say I wish that something cool like that would happen for me, but don't let yourself get into, life is not, it's not fair that it doesn't happen to me and it happens to them. Because who said it's not going to happen to you, right? You can be successful the same as them. You may just have to put more work into it. And that's being real. Doesn't mean you should give up and feel like you're doomed or you can't succeed. Someone may have to take 3 steps to get, that success. And you may have to take 10. But that doesn't matter because you still get there, right? All right, well, I hope you all stay safe and you are having a great day. Any questions or anything you'd like me to talk about next, just let me know. I already have an idea. Like I said, I have a curriculum of topics I talk about, and this is the second one. So stay tuned if you want to hear me rant more. Like I said before, I could go on hours about this kind of stuff. But thank you. You guys have a good day, and I'll catch you next time. All right, bye.